Perimeter is the distance around an object. Okay? Area is what it takes to cover one side of an object. Okay, so for example, okay, if this object is 10 foot by 8 foot by 10 foot by 8 foot. Okay, if we want to go around this figure, we would do this right here. Okay, hopefully walk a straighter line than that. Okay. Well, if you take your notebook and put it under your desk when it's supposed to be in your locker, you'd be able to see better when you got your head down on your desk. I know, but if you were, like I said, that's a sound barrier. It keeps my voice from traveling to you when you've got it in front of your face. So take your notebook down, put it underneath your desk, and don't bring it to class anymore. I'll take it up. It says perimeter is the distance around an object. If you'll let me speak, I'm fixing to move to the next one. But I guess it's in y'all's genes. You got to interrupt me. Area is what it takes to cover one side of an object. Okay? When people say objects, the reason I'm saying one side of the object is because when people think of an object, for example, when you think of an object, you think of something like this. Okay? The area is what it takes to, let's say, cover this side of the object. Okay? If you're thinking of a piece of paper or, for example, a flat wall. Okay? A flat wall has an area. Okay? For example, in this building, there's a lot of walls. So they didn't just go to Home Depot and say, hey, I think I'm going to use 5 gallons of paint. Okay? They knew what the area of the walls were, and on each, obviously each bucket of paint, they didn't order a 5 bucket one, I'm sure, but each bucket of paint, each bucket of paint has on it, this will cover 25 square feet or 25 square yards. Okay? And what they're talking about is they're talking about the area of a wall that they're painting. Okay? Or the floor. What it takes in carpet to cover the floor is area. Okay? If I have, a room that's 24 by 24, then it's going to take a certain amount of carpet to cover that floor. All right? So that's what they're talking about when they're talking about area. When they're talking about perimeter, they're talking about if I was to go along these walls and walk all the way around, that's how much it would be perimeter. Okay? There's 2 different formulas for area. There's an area formula and there's a perimeter formula. Okay? These are the ones that I'm going to use. For the perimeter, perimeter is equal to the sum of all sides. Okay, perimeter is equal to the sum of all sides. So what does the word sum mean, Cameron? In mathematics, what does the word sum, S-U-M, mean? What? What kind of problem? No. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? What? Addition. Yeah. It means you add. So for perimeter, you add each side. Okay, that's what it means by the sum of all sides. So to figure the perimeter of our rectangle up there, you would take 8 plus 10 plus 8 plus 10. We'll say that it's in inches. Okay, when you add those up, you get 36 inches. So that is the distance around that rectangle. Okay, call it an object, whatever you want to call it, but that's the distance around that rectangle. Okay, now, the book will give you a formula that looks like this. P is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. I don't like that equation. I don't like that formula. You can use it. The reason I don't like it is because it only works on rectangles. Okay, it doesn't work on any other kind of figure except a rectangle. The other one they're going to give you is P is equal to 4 times S. That's if you have a square. In other words, if I have a square, and that square is 5, 5, 5, and 5 feet on each side. Well, how many sides do I have? 4. So that means 4 times 5 would be 20. So the perimeter here would be 20 feet. Okay? I prefer to use the adding it up because when you see that that has 4 5s in it, most of you are going to know, well, I'll just multiply it together. I don't have to add them. I can just multiply it together. Okay? But when we see an octagon or a pentagon or a hexagon or a decigon, then you know if I got to find the perimeter, I got to add up all these sides. Okay? Because there's not a special formula for them, unless all the sides are equal. Then there is, but so you add up all the sides to figure the perimeter. You will also notice that I have the label inches and feet with my answer. You must have those on your answers. Okay? Now, let's talk about area. Area is what it takes to cover an object. The area for a rectangle is length times width. Okay? The area for a square is S squared. Okay? So let's go back to our same two examples. All right? If I figure, we'll call this A and angle, or figure A and figure B. If I do figure A, the area is equal to length times width. Well, what is the length of the rectangle that we drew a while ago? No. What is the length, not the perimeter? What is the length of the rectangle? Length means longest side. Jesse? 10 inches. So I take 10 inches times what is the width of the rectangle? Tayshawn? 8 inches. Okay? So there is my formula. Okay? So, what is 10 times 8? 80 inches squared. And why is it squared? Well, the reason it's squared is because I have 2 inches labeled. I have 2 of them. Okay? And the reason it's squared is because I'm multiplying 2 dimensions. anytime you multiply two dimensions together. The reason I say it that way is because those two formulas right there, look at the screen. Those two formulas right there, they have multiplication in them. But you're not multiplying two dimensions. You're multiplying a number times a dimension. Okay? Instead of taking 10 inches times 8 inches, right here we would take 4, no inches or anything, times 5 feet. So there's only one label in there. It's 1 feet. It's one of the feet. If this was 4 feet times 5 feet, then we have to have the square. Okay? So anytime you're dealing with area, you must have the units with the little square with it. It means nothing mathematically. Doesn't mean you have to do something else. Okay? It's just the answer. Now, the reason that we have a square is because we multiply two dimensions. Well, if I want to figure how much this basket would hold, okay, if I'm going to take something that's maybe centimeters and I dump it in there, it's like 1 centimeter wide, and I want to know how many it's going to hold. Okay, to do that, that's volume, and you would take the length times the width here, the length here, times the width here, times the height. Okay, how many dimensions is that? Length, width, and height. How many dimensions? 3 dimensions. So if you're figuring the volume, or how much this holds, then it would be like inches cubed, feet cubed, centimeters cubed. We're not dealing with volume today, though, so none of them will be cubed. Okay? But eventually, that's why. Now, when you see on the fancy little radars that the weathermen have, you know how it's got the clouds and it shows the lightning strikes, and then they put it in motion. Especially when a tornado is going to hit. They do all that fancy little thing where they go into the side of the cloud and you can see it rotate and move on the radar. Well, that would be 4 dimensions because it has length, it has width, it has height, and it's also moving. That's the 4th dimension. Okay? And so that's why they call it, when they first came out, they call it, everybody's like, we have the exclusive 4D radar. Okay? And I'm like, 4D, just moves. It's the same thing it was, it just moves. And so, but that's 4 dimensions, okay? Now, obviously, the velocity part of it's, it's hard to measure that, but that's why they call it 4 dimensions. Yes, Brandon? All right, now, so to figure the area, you're multiplying length times width, or, as we stated just a second ago, right here, one of the sides squared. Well, we had the square, figure B. Figure B is a square. Okay? Well, what they want you to do to figure the area is take one of the sides. What was the side? What was the length of it? Yeah. What was one of the sides? 5. 5 feet, right? So they want us to take 5 feet and square it. Okay, so that means area is equal to 5 feet times 5 feet. I think that looked like a T instead of an F. All right, so what is 5 times 5? 25. So area is equal to 25, and I have 2 of the feet, so that's feet. I'm not going to erase it. I'm going to have to. Okay, so that's 2 of the feet, so I have to have feet squared. And that is your answer for the square. Now, realistically, all you have to do is take 2 sides and multiply them together. You don't have to remember that formula. It's length times width. Is the length different than the width on a square? No. Okay, so it's just length times width. All right, now, look in your book at number 10. Look at your book at number 10. Number 10 says, length equal to 20 feet, W equal to 2 feet. All right? And they want to know, the directions say, find the perimeter and the area of the rectangular square with the given dimensions. So we got to figure the perimeter. Well, here's where most people make their mistakes. They don't think about this mentally. They just think, oh, okay, I got 20 feet, 2 feet, that's 22 feet. And they say that's the perimeter. No. You have a rectangle. The length is 20 feet. So that's one of them. What's the other one have to be? What's the other length? 20 feet. They have 2 feet here for width. Well, I've got another width. So it's 2 feet. Now, for perimeter then, you simply take 20 plus 2 plus 20 plus 2. Okay? That means perimeter is 44 feet. Did I multiply anything together? No. So you don't put the square. Okay? Now to figure the area. Area is equal to length times width. What is the length of this rectangle? 20. It's right here. Length. 20 times the width. 2. So I have 20 feet times 2 feet. And that is, area is equal to 40 feet squared. The reason it's squared, once again, the reason it's squared is because you have, I wish that quit popping up. It's because you have 2 different dimensions that I'm multiplying together. Okay, I want you to try 12 and 14 on your own. Do number 12 and number 14 on your own. You will need to find the perimeter and the area to both of them. I'm on the section that we're doing. Okay, I'll give you about 5 minutes to get those